Welcome to Fraser Mac Gaming. I'm Fraser Mac. 2018 is at an end and we are still welcoming in 2019. So I've taken some time to reflect on my favourite indie games from my channel's first year. I played lots of awesome games, from first party Nintendo titles to third party AAA games, and of course lots of innovative and spectacularly fun indie games. In this video I'm going to focus on indie games for the Switch alone. So what are my top 10 indies of 2018? Let's find out. Before I get into the games, I want to make it clear that this is my personal list and it's also based on games I actually managed to play during 2018. Unfortunately, I picked up lots of awesome indie games, but I didn't get to play them all, or I didn't get to play enough to give them a proper place on this list. Those high-profile indie games I didn't get a chance to play though will appear in my games I wish I played in 2018 video, so see the links on screen to watch that one after this. Starting off the list at number 10 is from those wonderfully talented Scandinavian scamps at Zoink Games. Yes, it's Flippin Death. It's an adventure puzzle game with glorious artwork, and the story goes that the small town of Flatwood Peaks has a problem. Death is on vacation. Yes, you play as Penny Dorwood, who has just died, and you must take over Death's duties while he's on holiday. You have to help the inhabitants of the other side by solving puzzles, and you also need to solve the mystery of your own death. The unique aspect lies in flipping from the other side to Flatwood Peaks, and you possess the living to do your bidding. It's all wrapped in a fantastically humorous script. The visuals in the game are out of this world. The impressive hand-drawn art looks like a cross between a theatre production and a comedy horror animation. The detail and complexity of the scenery is just spellbinding. Anyone who's a fan of the Monkey Island series of point-and-click games will be familiar with head-scratching, trial-and-error, wacky puzzles. It's full of fun, frustration, and it'll make you laugh out loud. It's $17.99 in the UK and $20 in the US. And for the collectors, there's also a physical edition for around £20. Coming in at number 9 is everyone's favourite condom-headed space pirate. Yes, it's Flinthook. It's released on the 9th of March and it even got a fancy physical edition from Limited Run Games. This is such an amazing game. It's a 2D pixelated action platformer with roguelite elements and the most amazing chiptune music. The music just goes through my head randomly all the time, and it's the perfect soundtrack to a retro space pirate game. It's a fast-paced thrill ride with a cool space pirate where you explore randomly generated spaceships for loot. You have a hook shot which forms a big part of the gameplay, you can alter time, and you have a cool blaster as well. It's like they've combined the best elements of Indiana Jones, Han Solo and Jack Sparrow, along with lots of retro goodness. It's just so much fun. Flinthook is available in the eShop for $10.99 in the UK and $15 in the US. Tribute Games, I salute you. Next up is Owlboy. Yes, number 8. It's a beautiful, charming and lovingly made nostalgia fest that brings a modern touch to a 16-bit style pixel art world. It took the developers D-Pad Studio almost 10 years of toil and struggle to perfect the game and craft the quality they wanted and thought the fans deserved from their game. You play as a young mute human-owl hybrid named Otis, whose village is attacked by a band of pirates. There's a running theme here. You must work together with your friends to save the land of the sky and prove your harsh and downright abusive mentor wrong. The flying mechanics and just sheer beauty of the world that has been created just leads to a fun-filled action platformer. The gameplay can be a little bit slower than some modern games you might be used to, but it just looks amazing on your Switch, and it just brought a smile to my face while I was playing it. It's just so charming, so much fun, and you know the script is fantastic. It's a classic. It's £19 in the UK eShop, $25 in the US. You can also get a physical for under £20 in the UK, and Sodesco brought out a fantastic special edition of it. Moving on to number 7 on the list, I heard about this game back on the Limited Run Games E3 presentation in June. Yes, it's Dust: An Elysian Tale. It originally released back in 2012 on the Xbox 360 through Xbox Live Arcade, and despite it being a 6-year-old game, I absolutely loved it and it still looks amazing. My best way of describing it is a hand-drawn Disney animal war game. Yeah, it sounds a bit strange, but when you get playing it, it's just so addictive. You play as the main character Dust, who awakes in a forest and he's approached by a living sword known as the Blade of Ara. You're also joined by a slightly annoying tiny guardian called Fidget who has magical powers, and you set out to find answers of your past. The game features an amazing combination of hack and slash and magical force powers in its combat. You've got abilities that combine with Fidgets to create immense combo attacks. You can discover new abilities, level up, and gain experience points to improve your health, strength, defense, or your magical abilities. All this is done by becoming more effective in combat and the loot you receive for killing enemies. Hack and slash combat isn't all this game has to offer though. The game sucked me in with its gameplay and its visuals, but also with its story. The writing was fun and it carried a dark tone, which drove me on to figure out Dust's true identity. I was addicted to this game as soon as I started playing it, and hack and slash combat isn't all this game has to offer though. The game sucked me in with its gameplay and its visuals, but also with its story. The writing was fun and it carried a dark tone, which drove me on to figure out Dust's true identity. I was addicted to this game as soon as I started playing it, and I can't wait to see what Dean Dodrell does next. It's available for £11.69 or $15 on the eShop. There was always going to be a shoot 'em up on my list, and number 6 on my list, here it is. There are fighter pilots, and then there are aces. Yep, Rogue Aces is flying in at number 6 on my top 10 indies of 2018, and boy does it deserve its place. It was actually the first game I ever reviewed on my channel, and you always remember your first. Even if it's a fumbling mess of awkward. The review, of course, that's what I'm talking about. Rogue Aces is an action-packed, procedurally generated piece of comedy gold. It's full of explosions, aerial steals, and tremendous voice acting from start to finish. I loved every minute of it, as soon as I learned how to land, of course. It's an awesome game, and it took me back to my days of playing aerial combat games back on the Amiga, I think it was. It's a brilliant hidden gem on the Switch, and I hope it gets a physical release sooner rather than later. You can pick up a copy in the eShop for under £10 in the UK or $13 in the US. Infinite State Games, you guys are awesome. Moving into the top 5 now, and we have another fantastic but underappreciated game. It's Iconoclasts. It got overshadowed by Dead Cells and the controversy over an IGN reporter plagiarising reviews. It truly is an amazing game where you get to explore a wonderfully hand-drawn 2D world as a renegade mechanic called Robin. Yep, mechanics can be outlaws, but they can also solve puzzles, shoot bad guys, and fight against an overbearing organisation known as the One Concern. The game just looks spectacular. It took 7 years to make because it's all been done by the one genius on his own, it is Joachim Sandberg. It's not only action-packed, but has a deep story hitting on some very personal themes to the developer. It hasn't really hit the heights in terms of commercial success that it deserves, but you can all change that. Limited Run Games are selling physical editions on their site January 18th, and it's also available on the eShop for $17.99 in the UK and $20 in the US. It would be a tragedy if Iconoclast didn't find its audience and if we don't see more games from Joachim Sandberg. Go buy it now! The next game on this list needs no introduction and was finally released on Switch during E3 to widespread joy and fanfare. Number 4 on my list for top 10 indies 2018 is of course Hollow Knight. It's a dark, atmospheric, beautiful 2D Metroidvania which takes more than a little inspiration from Dark Souls. You get to explore the massive and connected Hollow Nest, fight your way through the depths of the underground world, and attempt to uncover its mysteries and your own. It's a real labyrinth of a game with wonderfully hand-drawn 2D art. You can unlock tremendous abilities and do combat with terrifying beasts as you attempt to push further into the darkness. I loved this game from the very beginning. The atmosphere is truly chilling and it just looks amazing. I wish you didn't have to grind quite as much to buy upgrades, but it is a modern classic and they keep making more content. I think they're finally done, but you get way more than your money's worth with this. It's another masterpiece and another game I'd love to have a physical copy of for my collection. Hollow Knight is available for the bargain price of $10.99 in the UK or $15 in the US. What can I say about this next game that hasn't been said already? Yep, everyone's favourite magical Mexican ghost-busting luchador Metroidvania action platformer is number 3 on my list. It's a hell of a mouthful. But Guacamole Super Turbo Championship Edition is also a hell of a mouthful. I looked on longingly at Guacamole on the PlayStation Network for some time, and I even considered going to the dark side. I then saw Guacamole 2 at EGX Res, also on the PlayStation 4 back in April, and I got sorely tempted. I wondered if I'd ever get to strap on a mask, throw off my shirt and slam some undead creatures back to where they came from. But then my prayers were answered when Guacamole Super Turbo Championship Edition and Guacamole 2 were announced for Switch. Boy, was Guacamole worth the wait. I've put countless hours into it, I've completed it, and wow. The artwork, the combat, the puzzles, just the sheer joy you get from combining multiple abilities together to reach faraway places and overcome what you think are unsurmountable death traps. There's just so much goodness in it. Drinkbox Studios, you are absolute geniuses, and I can't wait to play the sequel. Please bring a physical edition to my Switch. We're coming to the penultimate game now, and the top 3 or 4 games on this list could easily change places and I'd still be very happy. But someone has to win, and someone has to come second. Number 2 on my list is another game I played for the first time back at EGX Res in April. It's the Game Awards Action Game of the Year, Dead Cells. I saw it on the list and I'd seen images and some content on it before I went to the event, and I was super excited to play it. I think I played it on the PC with an Xbox controller first, and it was just immense. And I was very nervous about playing on the Switch because I wanted it to run just as well on my favourite system. When I made my first run, I was pleasantly surprised, and it got its hooks into me straight away. The striking visuals, the deadpan humour, the body language, and the intense action, it just makes it such an amazing game. Hours can go by easily as you try and push further and further through your run. I've not played anywhere near as much as I want to yet, but it means there's plenty more to play. The only downside is the developers Motion Twin have said they don't want to make a sequel or anything even resembling the same genre of game. Who knows what they'll do next, but I can't wait to see what they come up with. Dead Cells is one of the games of the year, and you can get a digital or a physical copy for around £20 or £25. The final game on my list, the numero uno, the top indie of 2018, is a game I was waiting patiently for a long time. It's a spiritual sequel to a classic franchise, and it's not even a classic Nintendo franchise. Yep, it's Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom. Game Atelier and FDG Entertainment's Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom sneaked in before the end of the year to win my top indie game 2018, and basically my game of the year full stop. I played a lot of other technically impressive and very addictive games, but Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom was by far the best, in my opinion. From the moment I watched the very start of the intro to where I am now, which is about halfway through the story mode, it's been a pure joy to play. The art style is absolutely gorgeous. It's just a glorious HD cartoon from my childhood. It's got awesome characters with truly unique skill sets, a brilliant variety of levels with highly detailed backgrounds. I was just blown away with how good it is. There's challenging combat, interesting puzzles, lots of areas to explore, and I just can't get enough. I spent most of my Christmas holiday glued to my Switch playing it. It's not cheap, coming in at £35 or $40 digitally, but there is a glorious physical edition in the US that you can import to the UK, or you can pay a massive price hike and maybe catch the odd copy from a sale in the UK. It's worth every penny. Monster Boy and the Cursed Kingdom, you are my game of the year and one of my all-time favourites. So those are my top 10 Switch indie games for 2018. It took me a long time to narrow down my list, and of course I left out many games that deserve to be on any top 10 list, and there's so many more that I've bought that I've not managed to play. Celeste, The Messenger, I'm coming for you soon. So what are your favourite indie games of 2018? Did you like any of the games on my list? Was there any games I left out? Let me know in the comments down below. If this is your first time visiting the channel, then please hit that subscribe button and give me a thumbs up. I bring regular content covering all things Switch and lots of indie news too. See you on the next video.